I don't think I've ever been so excited for a game in my life. The original FF7 was released in 1997 and was one of the first RPGs I ever played. To this day, it is still one of my favorites, which is why I could only hope that this remake would live up to my expectations. To say that FF7 meant a lot to gamers in the 90s or even today is an understatement. Remaking a title like this in a way that would please the majority of fans is probably one of the most difficult tasks I could think of for a game designer. I mean, you've seen how the internet can react to just about anything for just about any reason. I'm one of the lucky ones in Australia who got my hands on a physical release 9 days early, and for 4 straight days I played through the FF7 remake at every waking moment. For the most part, it was everything I wanted and more, but I know that there's a little something, or a big something, that is going to divide fans. This review is spoiler free, and I won't be playing any footage from the later parts of the game or anything that will spoil the many mind-blowing moments that you're in for, unless it's been shown in the official pre-release footage. Let's get into why FF7 Remake is a must-play for both fans of the original and new gamers wanting a taste of what FF7 is all about. FF7 Remake is more than a remake. Everyone seems to have a different idea of what this means, but to me, a remake is more or less a recreation of an original. New character models, new backgrounds, a refreshed interface, but still a similar experience as to what you'd expect if you played the original. The FF7 Remake is much more than this. It's more of a reimagining. This game is a full, meaty action RPG that retells the Midgar events of the original. You play the role of Cloud Strife, a mercenary who teams up with a bunch of eco-terrorists, to stop the evil Shinra Corporation from leeching the planet's energy. Essentially, they've turned the first 6 hours of the original game into a full 30 or 40 hour journey. Some people have been complaining that these extra hours are just padding, but this was not an issue for me, and it was this mass extra content that I loved so much. Whether it be the multitude of brand new dialogue scenes, or the appearance of new characters such as the soldier Roche, which I have no doubt we'll be seeing more of in the future, I was hooked on it all. However, it was how the game built upon the original cast that truly impressed me. Perhaps the biggest example of this is with the 3 minor Avalanche members, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. Now, they played a small role in the original, but this time around they all get a lot more time to shine with loads more dialogue, backstory, and even their own main mission that Cloud helps them out on. I truly grew to love these characters, which is something that just was not possible given their limited time and focus in the original. I also have a new appreciation of the main cast, who were brought to life by an excellent cast of voice actors and many well-written cutscenes. Let's take Barrett for instance. The remake managed to take his character to a new level, and I loved how they presented the clear passion that he shows for his cause and the love that he has for his daughter Marlene. This is something that blocky graphics, text-based dialogue, and 6 hours of playtime just couldn't do in the original.
So then, what can I get you?
FF7 Remake Part 2, please! Going into this game, I was very anxious to see how they would deal with recreating some of the original scenes. But it turns out that my absolute favourite thing about the FF7 remake is the way that they did this. So many times my mind was blown and my jaw dropped to the ground, and I think I actually squealed a few times like a little schoolgirl receiving a rose on Valentine's Day. Whether it was something minor such as Cloud and Aerith sitting at the park with the emotion-driven music playing, to more major events like the war market scenes, which was treated so damn perfectly and blew all of my expectations out the window and is making me grin just thinking about it. And while I'm here, I have to mention the music. This has got to be close to one of the best gaming soundtracks that I've ever heard in my life. It has taken many of Nobuo's original tracks to a new level, with many of these having multiple arrangements to suit the mood of the moment. Every single track, whether it be the brand new compositions or the ones we loved from the original game, just seem to fit so perfectly. One small issue I had is that the voice levels are occasionally too quiet compared to all of the other sound on screen, which forced me to put the subtitles on most of the time. I usually like to just sit back and watch, but this is easily forgiven considering how awesome these scenes actually are. I guess now's a good time to address the elephant in the room, the new story concepts. This is going to divide fans. In fact, it already has, and most of the world haven't even played the game. To keep this as spoiler-free as possible, essentially one of the key concepts which relates to the ending is not loyal to the original at all. And I'm not just talking about some added scenes either. In typical Nomura Kingdom Hearts style, there is a lot of convoluted what the fuckery that pops up near the end of the game, and this could potentially change how many people feel about the entire entire experience. I can see how this lack of loyalty and what it represents could be a cause of concern for some, but personally I'm intrigued, excited, and just can't wait to know more. I am completely pumped for the future of this, and I want more FF7 Remake right now.
In my humble opinion, that explosion was a message. A message to the bastards bleeding our planet dry. Think they got it? Heard it loud and clear? Y'all's masters?
As you can see, the FF7 Remake looks absolutely amazing. Midgar has never looked so stunning, and this beauty constantly made me just stop for a moment and soak it all in. Few games have ever made me appreciate the world that has been created to the level that this did. For the most part, the game looks exceptional, but there were a few low quality textures here and there that just looked out of place next to everything else that was utterly breathtaking. Some of the NPC models also didn't have the visual quality of the major characters, and I'm hoping that this will be addressed in a later patch. Progression through the 18 missions usually involve following a linear path, battling enemies, then a boss, then proceeding to the next area. Yeah, there's a bit of backtracking and lengthy dungeons, but the fact that these were broken up by scenes and awesome combat made this a non-issue for me. I loved this game every step of the way, and while the beautiful confines of Midgar provide something far from an open world experience, there are a few stages in the game that allow you to take a breather and complete some optional content. While the side quests weren't revolutionary, most of them were interesting enough and provided decent rewards. For instance, completing some quests for a bunch of children will grant you a new weapon and access to a minigame that has some incredibly useful prizes. Speaking of minigames, there's quite a few that I really enjoyed sinking my teeth into, from darts to chin-ups to, as you would expect, the bike riding, which was taken to a new level of awesome. There's also a new NPC named Chadley who will provide you with a bunch of battle-related challenges, such as staggering a certain amount of enemies. Fulfilling these battle intel requests will provide access to loads of unique materia and also summons, which I'll talk about later. FF7 Remake has a lot to offer, and completing everything will take over 40 hours, and once you're done with this, you can jump into a hard mode or a chapter selection. This is a perfect way to jump into some of FF7's most epic moments and truly challenge your battle skills. Now, let's get into the gameplay. This time around, the ATB system of the original has been replaced by a more action RPG system. But fear not, aside from the normal and easy gameplay options, there is an option for Classic, which takes a lot of the action elements out of the mix. Personally, I loved the new gameplay so much that I never thought twice about switching to Classic. The way this works is that you control one party member at a time, and after unleashing enough basic attacks, you'll fill up your character's ATB gauge. When full, you can dramatically slow down time and spend your full gauges on using an item, a spell, or an ability, which is how you'll dish out the large majority of damage or heal your allies. Each character also has a unique ability that can be used free of consuming the ATB gauge. Take Cloud for instance. He can switch into Punisher mode, which has increased attack power with a guaranteed physical counter-attack when blocking. The price you pay for this is much slower movement and the inability to guard against ranged attacks. What I really loved is that each character just plays so differently, and rotating between your party members is crucial. On that note, the characters that you aren't controlling take more of a defensive approach. They'll take a while to fill their ATB gauges, but they also won't take as much damage as your controlled character probably will. By the end of the game, I was furiously switching between all members, and I can't recall an action RPG that allows and requires you to do this so seamlessly. A huge new mechanic here is the stagger system, and this is similar to that of Final Fantasy XIII's. In order to deal the massive damage, you'll have to fill the enemy's stagger gauge, which usually involves continually pressuring them and exploiting their weaknesses. This is especially important in boss fights, which are just insane. Many of these are epic, multi-stage fights with loads of cinematics thrown in between. They feel huge, and every time a new boss appeared, I just knew I was in for a big one. One of the best parts is that they are a challenge. You can't just hack and slash your way to victory. You'll need to plan your attacks, know when to dodge, block, and when to switch characters. Oh, and when to summon and use your limit breaks, which are both awesome. In fact, I felt that the summons were dealt with better than any other game in the series. You can usually only summon them during boss fights or during some of the lengthier battles. When you do, they fight alongside you for a limited amount of time, and you can use your character's ATB gauges to direct the summon to perform powerful, unique attacks. Overall, this gameplay is outstanding, and just talking about it makes me want to experience it all over again. Most of the character customization options stay very loyal to the original. Each character can choose a weapon, a piece of armor, and an accessory, with the former two having varying amounts of slots for materia. And if you're out of the loop, materia is crystallized energy that provides access to spells or passive abilities in battle. Like the original, your materia will grow stronger when equipped to an active member, and when they do, they'll get new abilities, such as fire upgrading to the more powerful Firer. The variety of materia and many different combinations allow for loads of different playstyles, and I had a lot of fun experimenting with new ways to approach each battle. However, in this day and age, an RPG really needs more in terms of customization. Luckily, we are given a brand new weapon upgrade system. Through your journey, each character will acquire several unique weapons, each providing a unique ability to use in battle. Once you use the weapon's ability enough, your character will have learnt it for good, so it's worthwhile to use every weapon at one point or another just to learn these abilities. When your characters level up, they'll also gain SP that can be spent on powering up these weapons. This could be something like increasing your magic attack power, gaining additional materia slots, or taking less damage when guarding. The best thing here is that all weapons gain their own SP when a character levels up, and by the end of the game, every one of your weapons will be a viable option. Some may provide more attack power, others may favour speed, while others you may want to choose because it has more materia slots. There are a lot of ways to build your characters, and the new additions in the FF7 Remake were a step in the right direction.
Still, it's kind of funny. Us going our separate ways, thinking that must be it, that we'd never meet again, and then here of all places we do. You know what? We should totally celebrate. Let's dress up and hit the town.
I would be lost.
I cannot remember the last time I had so much fun with the game. From start to finish, I was completely absorbed into the world of Midgar and the characters within. My expectations were huge, and the FF7 Remake perfectly delivered on just about every level. There were moments of clear emotion for me, moments that made me laugh out loud with my favourite characters, and other moments that had me on the edge of my seat screaming out the victory fanfare after an intense battle. I lived this game for days, and when I was done, I had an empty feeling inside, knowing that it will be years before the next step of this journey. I could not have asked for much more. The way that they dealt with our favourite moments from the original blew my mind, and this was successfully expanded on with loads of brand new locations, missions, scenes and characters, making my 40-hour journey one that I will never forget. The visuals and voiceovers really brought this game to life, and watching these beautiful cinematic sequences both recaptured and exceeded the emotions I originally felt all those years ago. The music is also outstanding, whether it be new arrangements of past pieces or new compositions altogether. They fit in with the events perfectly and stands out as one of my favourite soundtracks to date. And then there's a brand new challenging battle system which manages to take the core features of the original and place it into a new modern action-oriented system that feels great. The only criticisms that I can see with the FF7 Remake is the occasional low-quality textures and the NPC models, and of course the ending, which will continue to divide fans, and understandably so. Without going into spoilers, what did you think of the FF7 Remake? How did you find the ending? Let me know in a spoiler-free way. This was Hellfire RPGs, thanks for watching. If you like this, hit like and sub, or check out some of my FF7 Know the Facts videos where we look at all of the things you didn't know about the game. See you next time.